On today's podcast, we are talking Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4, and Edge of Eternities might start piquing my interest a little bit. But first, the intro. My name is Dom Douglas, and I've been playing Magic: The Gathering for what seems like forever, but in fact, it's only been on and off for about 30 years. With that comes an expectation that I'm the best player ever. You couldn't be any more wrong in that statement. What I do like, however, is having a lot of fun. Whether it be playing Limited, Draft, Commander, Standard when I get the chance, Arena, Magic: The Gathering Online, it doesn't matter as long as a good time is had. And with that, I have some opinions, not just of Magic: The Gathering, but also video games, comics, maybe even a TV show or two. This is the Goblin Grenade Podcast. That is right, folks. I'm going to talk Edge of Eternities. I was wrong that the Shocklands were, in fact, a late edition. I based this information off of the fact that there was no alternate arts revealed originally. And normally, with something that big, with Shocks being reprinted, you would figure that they would, when they announced them, they would announce another special treatment or something like that. They finally got around to doing that. So I was wrong. I'm going to eat crow on that one, if you will, and say that, okay, yeah, this was a design part from the beginning. It's still going to help the set sell, though. I'm not even going to deny that. The other thing, there was a discussion about one of my misgivings with the set was between Murders of Karlov Manor, Aether Drift, Duskmourn, Outlaws of Thunder Junction, wearing the tropes completely in the set to the point that when it comes to Magic: The Gathering, it was actually kind of like going so far away just on names alone, like making a card, legally distinct version named Children of the Corn, if you will. The legally distinct Road Runner and Wile E. Coyote cards from Aether Drift. In this set, however, they have decided to steer away from the tropes of space operas and space shows. So we're not going to see, hopefully, a named card that is legally distinct Battlestar Galactica or legally distinct Darth Vader in the set. They made a promise that, we learned our lesson with the 2024 hat sets that have been called the Murders of Karlov Manor, Outlaws of Thunder Junction, Duskmourn, and then that got followed up with Aether Drift. So they are no longer doing those weird... They're not going to make allusions or references or tropes, if you will, in the names of the cards and the art of the cards to get that high, if you know type of thing. And so far, the set I'm still not a fan of, but some of the cards that have been revealed, besides the Shocklands, have piqued my interest a lot, actually. I think the station mechanic is not going to be as big as people think it will. Not even in Commander. And it seems as if the station mechanic was built for Commander. And going over some of the mechanics. Station, obviously, spacecraft exists now in universe, not universes beyond. But station, tap another creature you control, put charge counters equal to its power on this spacecraft. Station only as a sorcery. It's an aircraft creature at whatever station it is. Some are 4, some are 7, some are 10, some are 20. So there's the station mechanic. Planets are lands that enter tapped, which also have stations. Meaning you can tap another creature you control and put charge counters on it equal to this planet. When it gets that numerical value right below it, it gets that special ability. For instance, Yorthros Titanic God Core is a land planet, enters tapped, tap to add blue. Then if you station it to 12 plus for a blue and tapping Yorthros Titanic God Core, add a blue mana for each artifact you control. So pseudo-functional reprints of reserved list cards, which are cards that have Wizards has deemed never to be reprinted again due to overpowering collectors. It's a whole long saga, if you will, and maybe I'll get into it like my Friday the 13th legal matter resolving. It'll be a long video, and it basically starts with a particular reprint set back in the beginnings of Magic, around 96, 97, Antiquities. No, it wasn't Antiquities. But yeah, there was a reprint, and a lot of people got big mad at it, and Wizards made a reservation to say, hey, we're going to create the reserve list, and these cards that are on the reserve list will never be printed again. Obvious stuff like OG dual lands, the Power 9, the Moxes, the Time Warp, stuff like that. Ancestral Recall. And then there's the Warp mechanic. Warp, so when the spell comes in, you may cast this card from your hand for its warp cost. Exile this creature at the beginning of next end step, then you may cast it from exile on a later turn. So once again, we are doing plotting here. It's kicker. Kicker with additional steps. So take, for example, Starfield Shepherd. For 3 and 2 white, you get a 3/2 angel that flies. When it enters, search your library for a basic plains or a creature card with mana value 1 or less, reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle. Or you can warp it for 1 and a white. You may cast this card from your hand for its warp cost. Exile the creature at the beginning of next end step. Then you may cast it from exile on a later turn. Adventures. Big thing, being able to cast cards from exile. Void is basically you get extra abilities with the spell if the void has been met. The void, whatever conditions the void has been met. For instance, Tragic Trajectory for a black sorcery. Target creature gets -2/-2 till end of turn. Void. That creature gets -10/-10 until end of turn instead if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn. So they're actually doing a little bit of counterbalance to the warp as well. Each one is going to be specific. It might not be a non-land permanent. Take, for instance, Insatiable Skittermaw for 2 and a black for a 2/2 creature with menace, meaning it can only be blocked by 2 or more creatures. And its void is, at the beginning of your end step, if a non-land permanent left this battlefield this turn, or a spell was warped this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So each warp, when the condition is met, each void, when the condition is met, does different things. Lander tokens, basically, when the token is on the field, 2 and tap it and sack the token. Search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Cards, creature spells, and whatnot will let you be able to make the lander tokens. And that's the mechanics so far of Edge of Eternities. No, that was March of the Machines. But it's I'm starting to warm up a little bit to the set. Am I going to buy a lot of it? No. I might buy a bundle just because I buy every bundle, but that might be it. I'm not even planning on doing pre-release because I'll be on vacation when the set comes out. So that being said, next week I'll be on vacation. So I'm going to be gone for a few weeks. I'm not going to technically upload anything unless I upload old stuff from the old podcast season 1 that was on Extreme TV on XWW's YouTube channel. Speaking of which, thank you for those watching at home on Max Heroes and Villains YouTube channel as well. If I didn't say my name already, it's Dom Douglas. I know we're about 10 minutes in here. And not only am I the voice of XWW, but I am the voice of the Goblin Grenade Podcast, the podcast that you're currently listening to and or watching right now. The second topic at hand is going to be somewhat decisive. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4 came out on Game Pass. And it's a day 1 Game Pass, and I pre-downloaded it. I'm a big Tony Hawk 3 fan. Tony Hawk 3 has a personal connection to me. Right before that game, it's that and Grand Theft Auto 3, because right before those games came out, I had dealt with a serious neck injury at work. What happened was a box, I was unloading the back room, stock room, and a box full of books, about 50 pounds worth of books, tumbled down from about 10 feet in the air and landed right on top of my head. Jacked my neck up a little bit. Fortunately, nothing broke, no nerve damage, nothing along those lines. But my neck hurt. My muscles hurt. I kind of lost feeling a little bit in my tips of my fingers and tips of my toes. So something happened, and it just needed to heal. And it took like 3 months to heal. So all I could do for most of that was be in a neck brace for, I think I was in a neck brace for like 2 months. And all I could do was sit up. I couldn't lay down, actually, either. So I could just sit up on my bed, because I was living with my parents at the time when this happened. And I played Tony Hawk 3 and Grand Theft Auto 3 religiously. It's all I could do for like 8 to 10 hours a day, because what else am I going to be able to do? I can't even move. I couldn't even move my neck like that. Like, it was that bad. And I'd have to like turn my whole body to turn around. I got better, obviously, but what happened was a lot of free time. I played Tony Hawk 3, and this was before strategy guide. Well, not before strategy guides, but strategy guides I don't think for Tony Hawk existed. If they did, I didn't buy it. Internet was barely a thing as it is right now, and I grinded that game to the point that I like 100%ed that game just by sheer force of will and just playing the game so much, because you would have to play as each character, all like 20 something that were in the game, and all the other ones that you unlocked, because you had to get them all max level, and you had to do all the quests and items, and you only had 2 minutes per run in Tony Hawk 3 to do like the pro score, the high score, the combo score, all the little missions that it made you go on. Tony Hawk 4, however, changed the philosophy of the game up, and no longer did okay, you're dropped in a level, you got 2 minutes to do as much as you can. It's an open world for the level. You can go wherever you want within the level, and you can activate, by talking to people, certain missions. So if you wanted to get the pro score, the high score, the 6 score, you talk to different people, and then that would activate the 2 minute. So you can get all the cash and all the stat points or secrets that you could free roaming until you activated a mission. Tony Hawk 3 plus 4, the Tony Hawk 3 side is fantastic. It's an awesome throwback. I will get to the issues, trust me. Tony Hawk 4, however, they completely destroyed, because it is no longer that open skate environment that you can activate missions. No, you literally have 2 minutes to do whatever challenges they did. And they redid a lot of the challenges too. Like you no longer have what was my favorite thing, because it taught you how to do certain tricks and whatnot. The go on a half pipe, and the crowd around you will call out the trick they want you to do. So that doesn't exist anymore. Some of the missions involving some questionable characters do not exist anymore, which is okay. I'm fine with that. Just change it to something else then, like find a different piece of humor in there. Instead, you have 2 minutes to run through the level, to do everything, the same stuff that in Tony Hawk 3, find the secret tape, find the secret board, find the Iron Galaxy logo, so Tony Hawk 4 is completely ruined on that side. Tony Hawk 3 is still amazing on that on this Xbox One remake, but the Tony Hawk 4 side definitely hurts, because it's just using the Tony Hawk 3 in-game mechanics of 2 minutes to do a run. Very disappointing. I've played through most of it. It's just as frustrating as you remember, getting every little bit, all the secrets and whatnot, to the point that I've had to look up a couple videos to see how to do certain things. And then I discovered photo mode. You can do photo mode, pause the game right when your run starts, enter photo mode, and just kind of free cam around. and find what you need. Like, do I need the secret tape? All right, where do I find it? In the photo mode. And then I have to put it into my head. How do I get, what line do I have to run to get to the top part? Like in the Alcatraz level in Tony Hawk 4, how do I get, how do I open up Alcatraz to free the ghost prisoner? So I had to like go into photo mode and find the 5 exact garbage cans and then plan out the line that you had to take to make it easy to get to. That was appreciated. It doesn't help that you killed Tony Hawk 4's gameplay, but yeah, and that was fun. And then I tried to get into Create a Park. Tried. I mean, you can do it. You can't upload anything as best as I can tell, leading to the biggest problem in Tony Hawk 3 and 4 right now. You can't get online. I don't know how people have gotten online, but I can't. And I've looked up how-tos and whatnot and looked at reviews and took every little piece of advice from uninstalling and reinstalling and deleting the extra added content that came with the install. And that works. Nothing works. I have to log in. I have to start the game, wait for it to sign in. I get signed in and nothing works. You can't get into Tony Hawk 3. You can't get into Tony Hawk 4. You can choose a skater. You can't get into Create a Park. You can't get nothing. You can't play the game. You've literally opened a menu simulator. So I have to quit out of the program, restart it, do this process 3 or 4 times until it fails logging in. And then I can play the single player version of Tony Hawk. The problem is there are certain achievements and certain special quests, if you will, in the game to unlock other things that you need the park editor for. You need to download 5 people's parks. You can't do that. You need to play online with X amount of times. You can't do that. Every time it connects online, it immediately crashes. So you would figure that this problem would be fixed. It hasn't. It's Tuesday, July 15th. No update coming. I think Activision just kind of said, okay, cool, we're just going to leave it as is. This is the same company that did release Tony Hawk 5 thinking that it was a good thing to do. Thinking that that game was done. And it clearly wasn't. And the problem is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake that are available on the new generation of consoles, the Xbox One X, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, is fantastic. It is brilliant. So I don't know why they decided to fundamentally change the entire game of Tony Hawk 4, release it kind of broken, and not fix it yet. You can't fix it. And when it comes to Tony Hawk 3, I had an easier time because just muscle core memories were made when I played that game originally, that I kind of remembered everything and how to do everything and get all challenges done in the park and then all the gold medals. And I'm missing one piece of cash in Tony Hawk 3, and that's just because my fingers simply refuse to do the precise button combinations to sketch up and wall ride up to the very top of the Tokyo competition level to get the one piece of cash that I'm missing. But when it comes to Tony Hawk 4, I'm having a little bit harder time in it because they've changed the entire game. The memories that I have and the muscle and core memories I have of Tony Hawk 4 don't exist anymore, don't apply to this game because it's not Tony Hawk 4. It's Tony Hawk 4 levels in Tony Hawk 3. And I also kind of cheesed the combo reverse achievement by just creating a park, making a rail with combo, and then just doing it backwards. That's how you get the achievement. So that's a pro tip right there from me to you. The soundtrack I'm okay with being changed. There's certain songs you can't put on there anymore without editing them. I'm looking at You Holiday at Cambodia from Dead Kennedys. And also, I like the explanation. I agree with the explanation, like with the new skaters. Like, this is for a new generation, too. This is for us old people who played Tony Hawk 3 and 4 when it came out. And this is also for the new generation of people that have never experienced Tony Hawk 3 and 4 before. So let's get new skaters on there. Let's get some new songs on there. The soundtrack's banger. And the problem is, like, I just wish you could have the soundtrack for Tony Hawk 3 playing instead of the remasters. And I get why. It's also licensing. It's a nightmare to get all those record companies to like play nice for Tony Hawk 3 and 4. It's different. It's a different time than it was 20 years ago. It was cool. Remember 15 years ago even, Electronic Arts had EA tracks for the Madden games. And those were bangers, and that doesn't exist anymore. The UFC game is the biggest offender, pardon me, of how lackadaisical EA's music is, because they can't even license out songs for the UFC game anymore, and it's all in-house, which is fine, but man, I just remember Madden 07, 08 with those absolutely brilliant soundtracks. Tony Hawk 3 and 4 had amazing soundtracks, which makes sense because it's Activision, the guys, the company that did Guitar Hero, to the point that the original developers of Tony Hawk were the ones who created the Guitar Hero games. They know music, folks. But that's a minor gripe, and I don't even consider it, for me, a gripe. But it's just kind of in a brokenish state with online capabilities. I want to get my butt kicked by these youngins, these young kids that have the amazing flexibility in their fingers to do 10 million point combos like I used to do, because then I get to know how it feels on the other side of that equation. It's like John Leguizamo in Land of the Dead, you know, when he's infected, he gets bitten by a zombie and he's infected, and somebody's like, do you want me to finish you off? And he just goes, nah, I want to see how the other side lives. Which is the best line in that movie, by the way. Fight me on it. But I'm having a joy. I'm having joy on the Tony Hawk 3 side. I've already said that a couple of times. Tony Hawk 4 side, not so much, because once again, they kind of ruined it. I haven't unlocked the pro challenges yet, nor do I think I will, because that means I have to play Tony Hawk 4 again. I can do the Tony Hawk 3 ones probably, but at this point I don't want to play anymore, because I've played the living daylights out of Tony Hawk 3, and I do give them credit. The biggest thing they changed is you don't have to get the stat points for all the characters anymore. And if this could be a memory, me misremembering things, unless it unlocked for everybody when you got the stat points, and then you got the next character and you just maxed them out. And that could have been it in the original Tony Hawk 3, but I could be misremembering. I am old, folks. I'm almost 50. And so all my characters are now maxed out, but I just didn't feel like rolling with Tony Hawk or any of the other skaters in the game, because I'd already done it all. And without being able to do that online, I don't know if if an update happens and fixes that problem, we will come back to this and maybe get a different opinion on it. But as of this moment, if you're a fan of Tony Hawk 3 and 4, or 4, especially 3, you're going to love what they did with 3. You're going to hate what they did with 4, because I know I did, because it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel natural. And I played Tony Hawk 4 just as much as I did Tony Hawk 3. But Tony Hawk 3, I was hurt. Tony Hawk 4, I was actually okay by the time the game came out. That being said, I'm excited for my trip to New Jersey. Sorry that there might just be repeats of the podcast the next couple of weeks, because we just had one last week, but that was because I was editing something and it took way longer than I thought. That's on me. But it'd be good to like get a little bit of a break from it. I know Edge of Eternities, we're not covering much of it. I do this for fun, and Edge of Eternities is starting to warm to me a little bit, but not a lot. I'm still seeking Final Fantasy stuff. That being said, my name is Dom Douglas here for Max Heroes and Villains with a shorter little podcast today, which is okay. I'm still packing, getting ready for this trip. I'm gonna be gone for 3 weeks. I don't come back till like mid-August. But for Max Heroes and Villains, may your top deck always be mythic. Just Tony Hawk 4. What did they do to you, man? What did they do to you?